What's up? Welcome in on this Tuesday, opening day eve. We sit on our way to the Sweet 16. There is a lot of stuff going on in the sports world. We're back full force. Took some time off, obviously, last week, as we will do every single damn year as long as my name is on this show and I am upright and breathing. March Madness will be observed at least the first 2 days as a national effing holiday, like it should be. We've got plenty to talk about there. And because there was so much to talk about tonight, we did a line change. We got our boy TJ in on a Tuesday night. Ready to go, Angels hat in tow, Diamondback shirt on in the middle, my plethora of vomit of baseball hats that I can't buy anymore because of where we make them behind me. A new baseball season is upon us. You've already seen some of that trickle out on our social channels at Mike Arana Show everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. If you haven't, sign up for our newsletter, mikearanashow.com/links. You're missing out on some good stuff. And as we get close to playoff hockey time, our resident Maine puckhead, see, I'm fortunate. I have two puckheads on the show, but our resident Maine puckhead is going to drop some gems in there for you, too. Our resident seamhead in the middle, his favorite time of the year, he's going to have some gems that start to matriculate for Big Word Tuesday throughout the newsletter. Get your ass on our newsletter. Because it makes me look really good if we have a lot of people signed up for the newsletter. As I told you last week, we're not smart enough to spam people. So it comes out once a week. It's simple. It comes out on Tuesday morning. Some betting nuggets. Lets you know what's going on the show. For example, tomorrow, Mac and I are going to go through every one of the opening day matchups and give you some more nuggets on top of our preview today. On Thursday, Wednesday, Mac and I are going to go over the Thursday Sweet 16 games and break those down. On Thursday, T and I are going to go over the Friday Sweet 16 games and break those down, which means it's time for the magical coin to come back, and you laugh at our logic with it, but the coin has been more profitable than it has not. And on Friday's show, I'm very excited for this one. This is one we've been working on for a while. Our guy, Jared Smith, host of the Morning After Pod. You've seen him on X. He's also on Fox Sports Radio. He's going to join me to talk about the tournament, as well as how to attack betting baseball season. And I'm telling you right now, if you're not following, you're missing out. Let me go to the middle first, the man in the purple shirt. Vegas Mac, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. I think after your little intro, I decided I want to have Spam for breakfast tomorrow morning.
Spam? Why spam tomorrow?
I don't know. It sounds good. It
Just
sounds
because
like
I said we're not smart enough to spam you.
Exactly.
I've got one for you guys at the end of the show here on the night of the week that we have all three of us, which is typically Wednesdays. We'll get to our summer schedule here because that's right around the corner as well. But I've got one kind of mental exercise for us, which with the three of us, a mental exercise at the end of every show that we're all together is going to be interesting. But have you ever dabbled in spam? Because I have not since you brought it up, Vegas Mac.
Have I dabbled in spam?
Yes. Have you eaten spam before?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's amazing. It's wouldn't want to have it every day, but once a month, once every 6 months, it's good.
TJ does not strike me as a spam guy. I've got a menu item at a ballpark that has to do with Mac's team that I think TJ might actually be into. TJ, have you ever dabbled in spam?
Spam wasabi? No spam here. Not a chance.
How are you on the eve of another baseball season that's unfortunately led under the direction of Artie Moreno?
I've got a big something that I'm holding in my pocket for right now for when we get to talk about some bold predictions.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm
Well,
I'm digging where this is going already, man. We got again at the end of the show here, the last 45 minutes or so. We're gonna give you our thoughts on the baseball season. You've seen a couple of my award winners matriculate out. I promised you today you would get the award winners from the guys. We're gonna make some World Series predictions. English is a fun language most days of the week, and some other stuff. One headline I wanted to get to that doesn't have to do with what is on the docket for us tonight: college hoops, hockey, and of course the beginning of baseball season. But I wasn't surprised to see this come out this weekend. Christopher Kamrani, sorry Chris, on The Athletic posted the story that I was waiting to see come out about Kyle Whittingham's exit at the University of Utah, and it was, well, exactly what we thought it was going to be. Kyle Whittingham wanted to return to Utah, had no intent of leaving Utah, and was basically forced out the door because the AD was displeased with the transition to the head coach in waiting at Utah. Guys, I know we all have tremendous respect for Kyle Whittingham and what he's built at Utah, and I think he's got a lot left in the tank. And I think Michigan should be happier than a pig in spam, if you will, at this point, because they're getting a great football coach that I think has a lot left in the tank. And I think Utah has put themselves backed into a freaking corner here. T, I'll start with you and then we'll go Mac on this one. You surprised to see the story come out this weekend that he was forced out, or did you know this story was coming and we were just waiting for it?
I'm not surprised. He's 66. He's been there for 24 years. It's some people in management probably thought it was time for a change. But I mean, it's very difficult to argue with the success that he's had in 3 different conferences over that span. So, I think Utah kind of screwed themselves over here. Good for Michigan. I mean, this is a great get for Michigan. But I think Utah. I'm sure Whittingham wanted to retire as Utah head coach.
Absolutely, Mac. Do you echo those sentiments from TJ?
yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I didn't really. I mean, the whole thing kind of. I remember when it happened, it was kind of weird. The way just kind of things were kind of like said. It really nothing said. Just I really didn't think there was much to it. It's interesting that somebody who's given so much time to the university, you kind of dispel him like that. I mean, it's not a good look from the university standpoint. But I guess for we'll go at it this way. We'll say if Utah has the next couple years has good football seasons, then obviously they made the right choice. If all of a sudden we forget to mention that Utah is playing football, then obviously they made the wrong decision in there. I mean, but I don't understand how you can, with a guy who's done like I think you said it perfectly, through 3 different transitions into conferences, and he's really put the Utah football program on the map, to dismiss him like that. Again, just kind of a weird look for the university.
Yeah, and I think that's the key point there, T. And we talk about this new wave of college sports and how everything's changing before our eyes, and we'll get to the college coaching carousel that's spinning off its freaking rails right now as far as basketball goes. But I think the big point there that you make, and I think a lot of people need to pay attention to this, is Kyle Whittingham saw that program to success through 3 different conferences. And it wasn't like over a long haul, it was over recent times here. And that's something that's very important to note.
3 conferences, and whatever the changing landscape is here now, whatever the new rules are. Like when Utah got into the Pac-12, we thought it was just to balance things out and make it up to and get it to 12. And you had to add somebody with Colorado in the same geographic area, but that team excelled. I mean, just ask Caleb Williams and USC about how good Utah was in the Pac-12.
This guy never misses an opportunity to bring that one up, ever. Absolutely ever, and I love it. It's one of those things. Morgan Scalley now has got the attention on him, and by all accounts, from what we can tell, he's a good football coach. He was named the head coach in waiting for a reason, and I think a lot of people are going to be very interested to see, because Utah the last couple of years hasn't been classic Utah. I mean, granted, we went through the Cam Rising decade of existence, it seemed like, over there, and it was actually pretty damn close to a decade. But, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Utah. I'm interested to see his impact immediately, guys, on Michigan, who has lacked stability and good people over the last couple years in their coaching positions. And before you know it, as crazy as it sounds, guys, we're going to be here on the eve of another college football season because the calendar just seemingly doesn't freaking stop right now. Mac, before we get into baseball, I know you're chomping at the bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into a little college basketball, and let's start just generally throwing this out because there's been a lot of chatter about the opening rounds of college basketball and NIL has killed Cinderella, and I'm so tired of hearing that bullshit already. Whether you think it's true or not, and whether there is any truth to it or not, Mac, your assessment, and then I'll go to T on this one to follow up, your assessment of what we've seen so far in the opening rounds of March Madness.
If I have to give it a grade, I give it an A plus. It's exactly what we asked for. There's been drama, there's been upsets, there's been close games, there's been blowouts. We've learned about some teams. We some teams we know who they are. We said who they were. They proved who they were. And others were surprised. I think it's been everything that we could ask for. It is one thing that is it seems like every year you can almost say it is perfect.
TJ, 39-9 straight up favorites. ATS 27-19 and 2. Unders a slight advantage 25-23, which was a changing trend. What did you make out of the opening rounds?
I mean, I don't know if I give it an A plus. I'd give it a solid B. It had its share of drama. It had its share of heartbreak. It had its share of great play at times. My bracket has lived down to its name. And so it is what it is. With the changing landscape of sports and whatever the hell is happening right now, until this thing gets fixed, this is probably how it's going to be. I'm fine with it. I mean, I'm still watching, so let's let the kids figure this thing out.
Yeah, and when we look at some more of just the outside looking in numbers here, guys, we're at the Sweet 16, which will start on Thursday and then continue on Friday and then through the weekend, the Elite Eights to get us down to the Final Four. We've got 7 new teams in the Sweet 16 this year compared to last year. Your returners, Alabama, I don't know how, but Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Duke, Houston, Michigan State, Purdue, and Tennessee. Your newcomers to the Sweet 16 this year, Nebraska, St. John's, UConn, Iowa, Illinois, Iowa State, and Texas, who... Can somebody just get rid of freaking Texas for me? I know Mac is super happy in the middle because he's the president of the Sean Miller fan club, but Texas has been impressive to get there. What do you make of the makeup overall before we get into some specifics of the opening rounds, Mac? 7 new Sweet 16 teams this year. I don't think that's a bad thing either.
No, I mean that's why I said I've really enjoyed it. It's one of those things. It's like we're getting some new teams in there. It's a lot of the teams that we kind of thought were going to get in there, but haven't been in there in the past. And again, you have some of the standards. I mean, like Duke just being in there. I mean, it's kind of like every year you put your bracket, put Duke in the Sweet 16, in a Sharpie. They're just going to be there, and I think that's what makes it fun. And there's still some surprises. I mean, you mentioned Texas is one. There's still a surprise. They had to play in the first 4. They got through that. And they've played very, very well since then. So, there are some surprises. I mean, I can't imagine, besides anybody in Texas, probably had them going beyond or even winning in that first game.
T, what do you think? 7 new Sweet 16 teams. I'm going to go find my barf bucket. I'll be right back.
Can confirm. Everybody, only people in Texas thought Texas would make it that far. Look, I mean, 7 out of 16, that's nearly half. If that's what if that's the parity that you want, then that's what you're going to get. I'm okay with it. I mean, there's definitely been drama. I mean, the Nebraska story continues on. I thought that it would be over, and they continue on. Iowa was kind of impressive the other night, although they almost gacked it away. Houston is Houston, Duke is Duke, and you got the old reliables there. So, but I just got to remind you, this is your annual reminder that you can't spell suck without KU.
I knew it was coming.
So let me just
screw you. Sorry, Max. Screw
That's
you,
okay.
St. John's, for blowing that friggin' easy as hell cover down the stretch to Kansas, who we knew wasn't going to win the damn game. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, let's just. I just kind of want to throw this out as a comparison. I mean, we said you got like half the teams that are kind of new. What if that happened in football? Let's talk about the football playoffs for a second. What if next year half those teams are brand new teams in the football playoffs? How would we look at the football playoffs? Would we say, "Oh my gosh, this is great," or would we say, "Oh my God, this sucks," because we have all these new teams in there?
Yeah, and it's a great point, and I brought it up in the newsletter this morning, Mac, and I'm glad you brought the football thing into it, because obviously we're looking at the football playoffs 4 times over when we're talking about March Madness. But these people, and I get it, and we talk about this in hockey all the freaking time. These gatekeepers in hockey, like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, like, let people new come into the fold. With March Madness, it's very interesting to me, because you have the people that take a couple days off, and their one hope is to put together a couple of plus 550s or greater and go into work on Monday and tell their boss to pound sand because now they're a millionaire. And those are the people that quickly go, well, this tournament sucks. We've had this conversation on the show several times over. And what is our main complaint currently of the college football playoff? We want best on best. Don't waste my time with these matchups where we know a team going in has no prayer to beat the team that they're playing. So, Sam Block put this out on the Block Spot on X. Florida's out. Houston hasn't won. St. John's hasn't won. Arkansas hasn't won since 1994. Arizona hasn't won since Nokia phones in 1997. You don't trust Iowa State, Nebraska, Purdue, Texas, or Iowa. Who in the hell is going to win March Madness? I think the fact that we're asking that question right now is tremendous. And if you look at some of the matchups that we have this weekend, we're getting best on best, and we're not even near the end of it. So I'm glad you brought the football argument up, because I don't think if we got half of the field in the college football playoff brand new next year, that people would not complain about that either. T the Mac.
I'd still complain. I still think it's a farce. But but didn't you get that? I mean, look who won the national title. Look who played each other in the national title game. I mean, it is what it is. Look who didn't make it from last year. So you still have that kind of turnover. You still got that quote unquote parity. And I think you're going to continue to see that as teams maneuver their quote front offices and turn this into professional sports junior here. You're going to see this happen because some teams are going to be with it. We all make fun of Sacramento State joining the MAC next year. But dude, you're going to be able to watch Sacramento State on nationally televised games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You're going to be able to see this program grow. The kids are going to play there. It's a great move. And then teams are going to have to catch up to them. So, it's part of the landscape. It is what it is. I'm fine with it.
Mac, you started this conversation. End it.
All right. Here's what I'm going to say. I think we have great matchups coming up. I can't wait to dive into them over the next couple of days. I think we've got exactly what we want. I think we've got a little bit of everything. We don't have all the top seeds. We don't have all the 16 seeds. I think it's been, if it was a buffet, it's a perfect buffet.
Yeah, and I think that's a tremendous way to put it, honestly. Feel free to comment along if you're watching along. And again, follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. Again, coming up here in about 15 minutes, we'll get into a little bit of hockey talk. And then I think 6:30 on the West Coast here is where we'll dive right in, head first, sliding into home plate or first base, because that's how we do things around here, and dive into the baseball season here. I wanted to get some reactions in specific order here from the opening rounds of the tournaments. And guys, I'll start We'll go Mac, then T, then me here. Most impressed with, whether it was a team, whether it was a single game, the collection of the two games, who impressed you the absolute most, Mac, over the opening 2 rounds of March Madness?
The team that impressed me the most was High Point. I'm going to be the first to tell you. I mean, I didn't watch this team play during the season, and got to watch them, play 2 games in the tournament. Team that was now 31-5, 15-1 in their conference. I mean, this was a fun team to watch. This is when we see teams like High Point. These are coaches that have built a program, and that's what I'd like to see. And so what they've done to me, they've made me now next year. I'm going to be watching High Point. I'm going to be putting them on. I'm going to be trying to watch them. That's what you're hoping that a tournament appearance does, even if just getting in, but being able to win and get to that second round. And they played Arkansas, I mean, pretty tight throughout the whole game. To me, that was really impressive. I love this team. I'm gonna watch them next year. I'm put me on. I'm a new fan.
T, where are you at on the impressive scale?
Someone get that man a High Point basketball.
Yeah,
he's wearing the right color.
But holy smokes. The team I'm most impressed with is Houston. They just rolled through the first and second rounds, and now they get home games to go to the Final Four. Like, you couldn't ask for anything more. They did, HMFIC. They did what Florida couldn't. And Florida was playing home games, right? Kelvin Sampson's boys look great. They are in for a fun weekend of basketball in Houston this weekend.
You know what's interesting is the amount of direct messages I got via on my personal accounts and on our show accounts of like, hey, dumbass, don't quit your day job. Your Gators suck today. Well, first of all, dumbasses, this is my day job. Second of all, I'm the one of the three of us that didn't put them back in the Final Four. Listening is a skill here.
Well, and you said, didn't you say that it was the guard play that was going to determine whether or not this team advanced or not? And that last play was epitomized that statement. That they ran the Tyus Edney play completely wrong.
Yeah, they ran the Tyus Edney play wrong. I'll go back to the defensive position there, and I wanted to ask both of you guys this because we've talked about this on the show. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. We do things a little different around here. We have a little bit of fun. That's what sports are. But Matt coached against me. T coached with me. So it was kind of an interesting thing to see unfold there. And Todd Golden talked about this, and everybody's going to highlight how they attacked that play on the last defensive possession, which was atrocious. And this is coming from a guy whose concept when he was coaching was, I was going to speed every team we were playing up because I knew we were deficient defensively, but nobody could play offense at a chaotic level like we could. Why in the hell do you let a guy catch and run on that play? Let him catch. You want to run a trap at him? Fine. And I will say this too, and I will be the first one to admit this, if I can click the right damn button here, because I literally put it in my notes on purpose. I have not been a fan of Jalen Rose, the analyst. Not one bit whatsoever. But the one thing you don't help off of ever is the near side corner, which is exactly what Florida did there. And part of that was because they allowed the play to come running. And as Barkley said on the post game, you gave them a fast break. Let the dude catch the ball. You want to run a trap at him after that? That's fine. But don't help off the near side corner either. I don't have a problem with. I have a problem with the fact that they didn't get a shot up on the final play. I mean, at that point, you got to clock time space, throw it up off the board, hope you get a foul. You're probably not going to get. But it was how they attacked that final defensive play from a coaching standpoint. Mac and T here, like, you can't let that guy catch with a full head of steam there and then help off the near side corner.
No, I was really surprised when they came out, and I was looking at that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're kind of manning up on him, in the full court, and I just didn't understand that. I mean, you have time on your side, let them catch that, make that first guy make a pass is what you've got to do. quickly. I was shocked as soon as I seen that they were in man. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to give up a basket right here. I mean, you could just see it.
Well, and the other thing too, guys, is, and T, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but Todd Golden's getting a lot of shit because one of the things that he said he ran through T in his head was he wanted to foul them if the situation presented itself, to put them on the line, knowing that they have, and they did, they had shitty free throw shooters that entire game, and everybody's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you? Your pace, and you said this, you're basically playing a home game. I would have put them on the line and counted on your 17 tall redwood trees that you have to grab a damn rebound on a missed free throw, or just bat it up in the air and let the clock run out. That whole sequence was ass backwards to me.
When you saw it, I love the angle that they showed the play from, because you got to see the whole court. And once Alvaro like started breaking front, I was just like, oh shit, this is not good. And it was like bing bang boom, and there it was.
Yeah, and we can sit here and talk about the results of that game forever. Iowa moves on. It's an interesting grouping, obviously, as we get into the Sweet 16. And again, we'll get into these games a little bit more over the next couple of days. But Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, and Houston, fascinating. Make sure you have enough Busch Light there. My two guys, or two things, I couldn't settle on one, guys, here. I wanted to highlight one player specifically that was ridiculous, and that's Terrace Reed from UConn. I mean, the dude dropped 40 rebounds and 41 points and 5 assists in UConn's 2 games, beating Furman without Silas DeMary in that first game, and then the UCLA game as well. Terrace Reed, I don't think, is given enough national attention for what he did. The other thing I was massively impressed with, guys, and not that this was shocking to me, but Iowa State, the way they came out against Kentucky and they were down, and you look at how that game went from when it was 18-6, and Iowa State just blew the effing doors off of them after that point. And a team that had every reason to just kind of fold like a cheap suit. I was massively impressed with the Cyclones, as I have been for most of the year. Biggest disappointments here, guys. Let's get into those. Mac, I'll start with you.
The ACC, just in total. North Carolina State loses to Texas. Miami, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia, all out first or second round. And even though Duke won both their games, they did so in rather unimpressive fashion. I mean, they could have easily lost either one of those games. For a conference that is, let's be honest, considered, I mean, we don't consider it, but I mean, it's still considered one of the best basketball conferences in the country. What a piss poor showing so far.
Yeah, and you actually, Mac, I'll let you go ahead and break this because you're the one that just pointed it out to me since you were just talking about the ACC. Mm-hmm. I don't think this one's going to come as a surprise, but go ahead.
Yeah, Hubert Davis not coming back to UNC. So there you go. That's a huge opening. That's, man, oh man, that's a land that can change the landscape around all of college basketball and the coaching front. It's going to be interesting. Who would not want to have that job? Any initial thoughts? Who would get that job?
Well, I mean, I think it's typical here. North Carolina thinks they're still a blue blood because of their logo, and they haven't been anywhere near a blue blood for a while. It's funny because Pete Thamel, that report that you just passed along, that came out 6 minutes ago. I don't think any of us are shocked because we started to hear that after they lost to VCU. But here's another interesting one, because Florida is now desperately trying to ink Todd Golden to a third contract extension after last year, with potential job openings looming at possibly Kansas and now officially North Carolina, trying to stave off the Blue Bloods here. I don't have anybody off the top of my head. I know North Carolina is going to have a laundry list of asking for Brad Stevens, asking for Kelvin Sampson, asking for this, that, and the other thing. I think one thing I will say here before we get to your disappointment is North Carolina better make damn sure that they already had a guy kind of in pocket that was the right guy to make this move. Because as much as I don't disagree, and I can't remember exactly who pointed this out. I believe it was Jeff Goodman. But we have to remember here that Hubert Davis did not want this job when he was awarded this job. It wasn't like he was seeking it. So I think that the split is great for everybody involved, but the laundry list of who Carolina thinks they can get is going to be really long, T.
Oh yeah, it's the whole. I mean, we see it in almost every sport. How we're gonna go get this guy. Yeah, no thanks. We don't want that. I mean, the first name I thought of, and I'm going back in the Wayback Machine. Me, and I'm sure Mac was on this too. But he's probably too busy with his race cars. Is Brad Doherty? And then I thought of Dante Calabria because he is a coach in the Italian league. So, but I mean, like. You were look, no disrespect to Hubert Davis. You're following a legend in that job. You're following a legend. So if you don't, it is a position in the hiring scheme here that is destined for failure. The next guy is going to be the guy.
Right. And case in point, guys, Mac, you know this better than anybody, as does T. Why do I feel the way about Mike White that I feel about Mike White from Georgia? He followed a freaking legend. A guy who is now, we found out today, in Billy Donovan, rumored to be possibly leaving the Bulls after this season, which is only a couple weeks from now. Maybe that's a name in the mix for Carolina.
I got a name for you.
Ooh.
Somebody who needs to get back to the ACC. Somebody who just left Tempe. Bobby Hurley. How about that? Wouldn't that be something, right? Wouldn't that? Let's get that stirred up.
Oh, how much would Duke just vomit in their mouth if Bobby Hurley was the head coach? I love it, dude.
Right, I do too. I think it's amazing. I'm like,
you brought out the big spoon to stir the shit pot tonight,
right? I mean, think about that first game between North Carolina and Duke. I mean, what would the prices of that ticket be?
How many families would be broken up, T?
Yeah.
Well, and aren't they arguing about whether they need to build a new building for these guys too? So you've got that kind of in the background here. Dude, I mean, go shoot your shot and see what happens. I mean, go ahead, Carolina.
It's ironic that the timing came out when we were talking about our biggest disappointments for the tournament, because if you guys are looking at what I wrote down, you'll see how I'm going to put two and two together. T, give me your disappointments so far through the tournament.
Oh, it's every school with Miami in their name is my disappointment. People were all getting butthurt about Miami of Ohio, and I was kind of in agreement with you. Like, put them in the 11th spot, put them in, or I think you said, Mike, put them in the play-in game and let them play their way in. If you're all crazy about, they performed exactly as we thought that they would.
Mm-hmm.
And as your boy always said, ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. So, and Miami of Florida was just a crap show the other night.
Yeah, it was. That game pissed me off too. Like, we could go through some of the bad beats that I've had. I've had plenty of them so far in the tournament, but that completely meaningless foul at the end of the Purdue-Miami game that got Purdue the effing cover, nothing pissed me off in the first round more than that. My disappointments were both West Coast Conference schools. Gonzaga and St. Mary's. And as we know now, we talked about this before anybody else did. Randy Bennett is now the head coach at Arizona State. Makes a lot of sense for Randy, makes a lot of sense for Arizona State. Now dump some damn money into the program, which they are attempting to do. Shout out to Graham Rossini for making it finally happen. But now what I hate, and I will say this, a lot of people are like, oh, the West Coast Conference is now dead because Gonzaga's left and St. Mary's lost Randy Bennett. I'm going to tell you right now, Mickey McConnell is the son of a coach. Mickey McConnell is the son of a coach who had a long tenure out here in Arizona, was a damn good basketball coach. Mickey McConnell is going to do just fine at St. Mary's. But it makes me wonder, with Gonzaga leaving the West Coast Conference next year, and Mark Few and Dan Lanning have something in common. And you guys, I know you're not ready for this one. Oregon football is Gonzaga basketball. And if you really think about what I'm saying there, that is a dead-on comparison. Now, Gonzaga is leaving the West Coast Conference, and now North Carolina is open. Potentially, and I said this, and I've said this for a few weeks, and I don't like it, but I'm pretty sure Kansas is going to come open. If you're Mark Few, is it time to look at a Kansas or a North Carolina because it's not getting done at Gonzaga, at least for what we all think Mark Few is capable of? Those were my two big disappointments. St. Mary's played like absolute dog shit against Texas A&M, and Gonzaga played a terrible game against Texas. They also played a terrible opening game against Kennesaw where they sleptwalked through the entire beginning of that game as well. So those were my two big disappointments. Let's, again, the Hubert Davis news. If you're just now joining us, he is out at North Carolina. That came across literally 10 minutes ago. Let's try and get the train back on tracks a little bit here. We've seen a lot of games now, guys. Give me a team that has completely changed your mind, Mac and T, about what you think of them and their prospective chances going forward in this tournament.
Mine is Iowa. I just kind of forgot that it's one of those things. Like, I forgot how good Iowa is as a basketball program, and I get to thinking about it. I remember a while back going watch UConn in the Sweet 16, and who'd they play? They played Iowa. Iowa's always had really good teams, kind of just not enough to get to that level, like to the championship level. But you just kind of forget how good Iowa basketball really, really was or is. And so they really, for me, opened up my eyes, and I was like, okay, this is a pretty good basketball team.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it goes to Ben McCollum, and that's the thing. Like, and T, I'll throw this out for you because I know you talked about this guy a lot during college football season, but Ben McCollum is the Kirk Cignetti of college basketball. Mm-hmm. All the guy does is freaking win. Mm-hmm. And that team decided we were going to play Florida's game, and we're going to punk them at playing Florida's game. Todd Golden told his team they were getting punked playing their game. Ben McCollum's comment during the game of how everybody got all sensitive when there was a punch thrown, because apparently that's now legal in college basketball. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but Ben McCollum is the Kirk Cignetti of college basketball. T, who was your team that has now made you go, oh shit, they can win this whole thing?
I think it's St. John's. I was impressed. Yeah, they didn't come through for you on the cover, but that's a team that has taken a step from last year, where we all expected them to make the run last year. Now they've gotten past that. So now where are they going from there? And I love the reaction. This got a lot of play on socials. I love Pitino's reaction at the end of the game. Like he's been there before. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yes, took care of business. What's next? Loved it.
Yeah, it was a fascinating game. Of course, yeah, I'm pissed at St. John's for not covering and letting Kansas back in, but that was exactly what I would have expected, Mac. And I, sorry to cut you off. Apparently, that's my thing tonight. It was exactly the coaching nerd in me loved exactly what we saw.
Yeah, and we talked about it. St. John's is one of those teams. If they can somehow figure out how to put the ball in the basket, I mean, it's true. Like, and they shot so well. They from a defensive standpoint and their toughness and their coaching, they're really, really good. What I was going to say is I love what Dan Hurley came out and said today. He's like, hey, now that it can be us and St. John's again, go out and root for St. John's. Make this a Big East final. And I love when coaches do that. It's exactly what you want. You want in that game to have as many people behind you as you possibly can. Let's get behind them. You should be rooting for your conference. And you heard, and Pitino gave an interview. I think it was right around the Big East tournament, and he said exactly this. He says, listen, he goes, the Big East can be back, but in order for the Big East to be back, a couple of things has to happen. And he said that, like, for instance, Georgetown has got to get better. Providence has got to get better. We've got to get some teams to be better. And what better way for a conference to be better than to have an all-regional final be in that conference?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into some of the coaching moves already. You mentioned Providence, who has a new head man. We're nailing coaching hires right now. I mean, Jerry McNamara to Syracuse, Randy Bennett to St. Mary's. Like, we're nailing these. I don't really have a specific team that's changed my tune. And I'm going to say this, and people are going to think that I'm just talking shit here. I'm not. I have my entire Final Four intact, and I'm not talking from a bracket standpoint, people. I've made all these bets, whether it was to get to the Final Four, whether it was this or that. Right now, I'm telling you right now, and I said this in the newsletter. This is why you got to be a part of the newsletter this morning. Iowa State to win their region and make it to the Final Four is a plus 290. If you strongly believe that Iowa State and Michigan are inevitably going to meet at the United Center this weekend, I can tell you right now, you are not getting Iowa State at plus 290 to beat Michigan. Make the bet on them. Look at the alternate ways to do things. Billy V checking in here, and this is another one. There we
Arkansas.
go, if I can click. Arkansas. I've said my piece on Arkansas. Arkansas is my national champion. Arkansas is the team that I was anticipating beating Arizona. I've also made the bet for Arkansas to reach the Elite Eight because the money line value is going to be more than you're going to get head up, and I haven't seen what it is today, for them to beat Arizona. I picked Arkansas to go to the Final Four because of how much I believe that Darius Acuff can carry them through, anticipating that they were going to have a matchup with Arizona. T, you got a couple of things. I can see the gears turning, and I'll give you the final word on college basketball before we talk some puck.
3 Big 19 teams in the South region. 3 of them. So just look out. I mean, this may work out really nice for the Houston Cougars here.
We talked about names for North Carolina. I'm going to throw out one right now. And you've seen him make some comments about where they're at, which is not entirely accurate about where they're at, but Kelvin Sampson and not having the whole deck to compete with these big teams. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if Kelvin Sampson is not at the absolute top of North Carolina's list. The problem is now they got to wait. And because of stupid calendars in college sports, we've already seen guys like Jackson Selstad entering the transfer portal when we're not even at the sweet damn 16 yet. Mm-hmm. I said we were going to transition to hockey. We're getting to hockey. I heard this during the game. I thought it was fascinating because I could only just imagine what it looked like. But Dan Hurley, Thad Matta, Tom Izzo, and Mick Cronin have an old school coaches group text. Would you not pay money to see some of the back and forth on that group text?
Absolutely. I mean, that has to be absolutely incredible. It would. We just need one snapshot. If somebody can get us a snapshot of any of that, we just one. It's got to be worth it. I can just imagine there's a lot of smack talking among that. That would be so much fun.
T, do you have any final thoughts for real this time as we move to hockey on Hubert Davis leaving North Carolina?
Boss baby, boss baby, boss baby, boss baby.
Not Mick Cronin, damn it.
My bad.
Let's get into hockey here. And we've got a lot going on. And guys, this is the cool time of the year because as we get, the anticipation of the Sweet 16, everything, again, our baseball preview coming up in about 15 minutes from now. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. But we get so close to the playoffs. We've seen teams like Buffalo that have just kicked the doors down since the Olympic break and are on heater of all-time heaters. And I can't wait to see the scene in Buffalo. Before we go any farther, I think we need to stop, collaborate, and listen here on this week's Vegas Max Mac 5.
All right, boys, here we go. The jumble of the Western Conference really is a Pacific problem. The Olympic break hasn't been real kind to many people in the Pacific. Only the Ducks kind of having, a winning record. Listen, this is what I see. I see Anaheim, Edmonton, and Vegas. Those are the top 3 teams, separated by just a few wins. The Ducks, they have one of the easiest schedules remaining for the regular season. The Kings, I think they're going to catch Vegas, but I don't really think it matters. I think they're both going to get in. I think Utah gets in as well. So there we have it. 3 teams. We have Seattle, San Jose, and Nashville battling for one final spot. Nashville's only chance is going to be the wild card, and they have one of the toughest schedules to finish out the season. The Baby Sharks, they've got talent, but is the stage too big for them? And even though Seattle is playing pretty well, my feeling is that the veteran leadership on that Nashville team is going to be enough for them to take that final spot.
Hey, I'm not going to steal your thunder here on this, so I'm going to avoid talking about one of those teams specifically because I know you have some thoughts here. in just a second. We've got some big games coming up this week, and again, as we get towards the nitty gritty here at the end of the season, the Baby Sharks do down 5-1, not even halfway through the second period at Nashville tonight. So they're getting the doors blown off of them again. They are one of those teams that we talked about going into the break that, could the break be a bad thing for them? It definitely has been, but I think the Sharks have already exceeded all expectations. Big games on the docket this week, guys, and I'll give you the list of them. I'll let T start, and then we'll go to Mac here on which ones you think are the most impactful. Thursday, we've got a pair of them. Columbus, who's red hot, at Vegas, Mac's favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens. Edmonton, also at Vegas on Thursday. We've got Wings at Sabres on Friday, Wild at Bruins on Saturday. T's got down on his list here, Ducks at Oilers Saturday, Sunday, Predators and Lightning here. Which one of those games, T than Mac, do you think has the most impact or is the most important as we, again, are so close to the playoffs?
I think it's Edmonton and Vegas. And there's a lot to be concerned about with the Vegas Golden Knights. They got a win in Dallas the other night, but I think they're running out of runway. They were 3-7 in their last 10. They look dreadful at home against Utah. They got the doors blown off them in Nashville. They looked better against the Stars. They're still not 100% healthy. Their record is 32-39. Do you trust this team to make a run? Too inconsistent for me to count on them for a playoff run. They might get in because 92 points will probably win the Pacific. And that's still attainable for Vegas. But they're just a complete conundrum. I watched them get blown out by Minnesota back in December. They have a top 7 power play and penalty kill. Their goaltending has been meh the entire season. I can't help but think that there's just nothing that wait till next year, Vegas. Wait till next year.
Mac, which one of those games do you think jumps off the page?
I think for me it's the Minnesota at Boston, only because it's a game. Boston is they have the hardest. We looked at the schedules; they have the hardest remaining schedule in all of the NHL, and so again, I don't think they're going to catch Montreal. I think for Boston, it's going to have to be a wild card thing, and again, they just need to get points where they can get points. So I think for me, that's the biggest game because it has such the biggest meaning of all of those.
Yeah, and again, it gets. I think it gets lost here as we get to this time of the year because there's a lot of things getting ready to start. We've got the draft. We're kind of finishing NFL free agency. Obviously, we're in the middle of March Madness. We've got the Masters around the corner. Like this push, and Mac, you and I tomorrow are going to go into the push in the NBA side of things because there's some changing landscape there as well. But one of the teams, and Mac, you mentioned them last week in your 5-hole, but I'm going to go to T on this one here. You want to talk about freaking smoking damn hot. Rick Bowness, our guy Boner, is setting up the Jackets for one hell of a run here, T.
Fire off the cannons. Just fire them at will. This team is an absolute wagon. Before they lost on the island the other night, they had points in 12 straight. They're still fighting for their playoff lives, but you got to think they're going to pull this out. No easy games, though, the rest of the way. They have a difficult schedule, all against teams still in a playoff race. And I saw the Jackets play in December, and this team is just miles ahead of where that team was in December. I love Zach Werenski has more points than every defenseman in the league except for Evan Bouchard. He has more than Quinn Hughes. He has more than Cale Makar. He has more than Jacob Chikrin. He has more than all of them. The defense is becoming one of the better defensive cores. And you know what? I'm pulling for them on a personal note because the whole Johnny Gaudreau thing is still lingering. He still has a jersey. He still has a locker in the building. A playoff run would be fantastic for this franchise. It's only won 2 series in its history.
Yeah, it's been an incredible story. They've been an incredible team to watch. I'm definitely pulling for them. Obviously, I don't think I'm going to have a dog in the fight, a shark in the tank, if you will, in the postseason here. But I've been massively impressed by what I've seen from them and what's coming forward. I'm already anticipating seeing the scene in Buffalo. I can't wait to see it in Columbus. And you know what I think about the Minnesota Wild here? We're in for an incredible freaking finish when it comes to the NHL. Again, tomorrow night on the program, Mac and I will dive into what's going on in the playoff races in the NBA, specifically the East, with Cade Cunningham's situation and the Pistons there. But it is time. It is finally time. Vegas, Mac, is Christmas is upon us. No, there is absolutely no relation. I know where you're going there, you got Roz. We appreciate you checking in. I just saw your other baseball comment. I will address it because I'll address it by laughing here in just a minute. But a new season's upon us, guys. Netflix is where we start, and then the rest of the league gets underway on Thursday here. Let me throw out a little softball for baseball. How do you feel, Mac? And maybe it's suppressed because we're doing this new thing with Netflix, so we have the standalone game tomorrow night, and then everybody else Thursday. But either way, we are on the eve of a new baseball season. How do you feel, Mr. Baseball?
I could not be more excited. I think the worst week of baseball is this week, part of this week, when it's the last week of spring training. Nobody wants to be there. Everybody is just ready. I mean, most teams played their last games today. It's just an awful feeling. It's like, get us, they've been down in Arizona or Florida now for, a month or some of them even 2 months. And they just want to start, playing these games that actually matter. So you're right. I mean, I'm so excited. I don't actually mind the standalone game. I mean, I'm all right with that. I just can't wait for games to actually have some meaning now.
This is the best message I think I've ever seen on this show. Because if you can see over my head up here, there's the extremely creepy picture of Jackson Holiday, who looks like a boy band superstar here. My favorite book to get every year, and our guy You Got Roz always delivers for me. It'll have Connor Griffin on the cover this year, who is not on the opening day roster for the Pirates. Figured that one out. T, you and I are kind of in the same boat here when it comes to a new baseball season. So how is it for you on the eve? And what do you think of the standalone game?
I mean, I liked it better when the game started at 9 in the morning. And let's be real. The head guy in charge over there hasn't made it exactly easy for opening day people to take the day off like they used to be able to and just watch baseball all day. So, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I don't understand it. I don't like the way that it lines up for the Giants for the entire weekend, because don't they have 2 off days in the next 5 days? That's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, go ahead and get your Giants and Yankees on there and let's go at it. I am kind of excited though, because it's always that optimism, right? The grass just smells a little bit better and the beer's a little bit colder and the bat sounds a little bit crisper. And
like that.
And then the Angels are eliminated by April 3rd.
Bring back the rally monkey. That'll start things here. Let's get into our previews, though. I'm excited. Poor planning on whoever's in charge of this damn show that we're doing a show during the Giants and Yankees tomorrow night, especially with a plethora of superstars on the pregame broadcast. Barry Bonds, who should be in the Hall of Fame, Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, as well as Jameis Winston for some reason that I can't figure out, but I'm really happy about because he makes anything he does interesting. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see how it goes. You got Roz checking in here. Yes, despite the goofy schedule, they also open with the Mets and Phillies after that. Brutal for Tony Vitello in his first year for the Giants. But let's get into our previews, and let's go west, young man, to the American League side, and we're going to give you our thoughts on who we think is going to win the division. We're also going to give you a couple of newcomers or a newcomer in the division that we think will make the biggest impact here. Feel free to chime in as we go through this. We'll give you our award winners. You've seen a couple of mine, as well as our division winners, wild cards, World Series predictions, all that fun stuff. AL West, and I'll start with Mr. Baseball in the middle. Who is a newcomer to the AL West that you think makes a sizable difference, and why?
Jeff McNeil on the Athletics. He is a veteran. He is a really, really good hitter. That is a lineup filled with a lot of young players, and they need that Jeff McNeil is this. He's a professional hitter. They need to see those at bats. I think he's going to be a great addition to a lineup that's already really, really good and really, really young. Just gives them that professional pop in there. I think it's going to be I think it's a great pickup for the Athletics.
I wish we were of the level, and we talked about this last week, of like a Jim Rome where we had somebody that just audits our show and can keep tabulations on something, because I want somebody out there who's watching, if you can, if you're so obliged, to mark down how many times you hear the term professional hitter in this. T, give me a newcomer to the AL West do you think makes a sizable difference for his team?
Sorry, every time Max says professional hitter, all I think of is professional hitter Matt Stairs, who just always seemed to get a hit.
Yep.
When I watched them at the Coliseum. I got Mackenzie Gore for the Rangers here, and he's played with a decent team and 3 Drek teams over the past 4 seasons. I think it's a big add for the Rangers. I think it easily gives them one of the best starting rotations, if not in the league, at least in the division. And he's going to be relied on to eat some innings up for this Rangers team.
Yeah, you guys are both pretty high on the Rangers. I don't know if I can get there with you. You mentioned, Mac, seeing some of the games today. I did watch the Rangers and the Royals today, which was like a Florida Gator spooge-a-thon, if you will, for me. But I don't know if I'm there on the Rangers. We'll get to that here in a little bit. The guy I think makes the biggest difference, and I'm still kind of pissed off that he's not wearing orange and black this year, is Brendan Donovan of the Mariners. And I think Brendan Donovan, and this isn't a slam on Geno Suarez at all, because Geno Suarez was a big part of what they did down the stretch. But the guy is a good glove at third base, and he is, to use the term again, a professional hitter. And I think he's one of those guys that's very underrated in what he does. He wasn't a very hyped up prospect. The dude just finds ways to get on base. He finds ways to put the bat on the ball. And I think that consistency in a Mariners lineup that is already really good is something that they desperately need over the haul of 162 games. Let's get into who we think's going to win the AL West. I just read yours, Mac, so you go ahead and start.
And so the West is kind of interesting. I do like the Rangers. I do think the Rangers could be a surprise team. I think Seattle's going to take a half step back. I know their pitching is still there. But for me, I looked at this and said, the Athletics. And I said, listen, they're going to pound the ball out of Sacramento. They're going to beat people up. Who's going to listen? We already know it's not fun going to that stadium. Nobody likes to play there. They're going to use that to their advantage. It's going to be, miserable weather. It's a miserable stadium, and the A's are just going to go there and they're going to just pound the shit out of your pitching staff. Why not? I'm worried. I do have worries about their pitching staff, but listen. Remember, half their games are at home. They just got pound Sacramento into the ground.
There's a lot of different ways I can go with that, none of which I'm going to utilize at this point. T, who wins the West and why?
They're going to Pound Town, all right. They're going to Pound Town. I think before I get into my pick, though, I think all of us have this kind of dastardly kind of grin in the back of our heads because we would love to see playoff games there. We would absolutely love to see that nonsense on national TV and just show what a kerfuffle this whole thing is. I've got the Rangers. I thought the Brandon Nimmo trade was just a great add to that lineup. I like the add of Mackenzie Gore. I think that pitching staff's ready. I like the Rangers.
Yes, I do think everybody wants to see the disaster that would be playoff games and how MLB would handle it, and if they would try and move the Nomads out of Sacramento for whatever reasons. If you're on the newsletter, I'm not a big guy as far as win-loss totals go in baseball, but I love the A's over 75.5 wins this year at minus 105. And you got Roz, brings this up, and I think he makes a great point to echo what you just said there. Not only did they acquire Nimmo, but they hung Semien on the Mets too, which is something interesting to kind of pay attention to. For me, and I've been advised against this by plenty of people in a specific area of the country that I know well now, but it's the Seattle Mariners, and I think it's the Seattle Mariners running friggin' away in this division because that team is way too talented, despite what you want to say about how they've done their business over the last couple of years. That team, top to bottom, way too talented. We know about the pitching staff. I think it would be a grave disappointment for the Mariners not to easily go back-to-back as AL West division champions there. So I got the Mariners. Let's move to the Central, a division I cannot wait to talk about because I know I am way on the opposite side of somebody here. Vegas Mac, why don't you give me a newcomer to the Central that you love and why?
I know he's going to be on the shelf to begin the year, but Chicago White Sox catcher Kyle Teal. I'm telling you, he's one of the best young hitters and catchers in baseball. We saw it a little bit in the WBC. The Red Sox traded him in that Crochet trade. They liked him so much they were trying to trade back for him. Remember that name, Kyle Teal, maybe your rookie of the year.
Yeah, and he won't be out long with the hamstring injury, so he's going to get an opportunity to definitely win that Rookie of the Year. T, give me a newcomer to the Central.
It's Framber Valdez, and I think it's because it's the guy who is going to like we all know what Skubal has, and we're going to see if Verlander has anything in the tank. I know, I got you. But I think it's Framber Valdez. He's getting paid a boatload of money. He's going to be counted on to, I don't know, this sounds kind of weird, but I think he's counted on to carry this staff over Skubal right now.
Well, we're going to get to Scooby here in just a second. My newcomer is a pair in this division, but it's a pair that absolutely freaking makes this team go. And if you've followed us on our social channels at Mike Arana Show, you've seen a couple of my AL award winners already. And I'm going to stick right on that term, and I'm going to go to Kansas City. And it's Nick Mears and it's Matt Strahm. I think those two guys in that Kansas City bullpen, which is already pretty good. Kansas City, a team that has tremendous freaking depth. New fences at the ballpark. I think those two guys in Mears and Strahm do a lot to solidify a Kansas City bullpen that needed the anchors and needed those things to kind of put this team back. And we remember a couple of years ago, there was a lot of steam, a lot of heat behind this team, a lot of positive momentum. Last year, they took a little bit of a step back. A lot of different reasons for that. You got Roz with another one here. Travis Bazana, promoted to the Guardians. He's been tearing the cover off the freaking baseball, too. I think the Central is going to be compelling as all hell. But to me, the additions of Nick Mears and Matt Strahm to Kansas City are guys that are going to make a massive difference for the Royals. We got an interesting scenario here. So, Mac, I'll let you start. Who wins the division and why?
I've shined up the train. I was on the train early last year. I stuck with the train. The train went off the tracks a little bit at the end, but I'm going to tell you why I'm back on the Detroit Tigers. I love their pitching staff. I love their lineup, and it's only going to get better. Kevin McGonigal is made the team out of spring training. Max Clark is not behind him. If you don't know these names, write these names down in Sharpie on your arm and get them memorized as soon as you possibly can, because these are two really, really good young players to add to an already good, there you go, T, already good Tigers lineup. This Tigers team is ready to explode.
He said Sharpie, dumbass, not an expo.
I love the Expos.
So do a lot of us. T, I'll let you take the first swing of the bat on your Central winner because pretty sure I'm in agreement with you.
Oh, it magically appeared on my arm.
There you go.
Royals. It's the Royals. This is their year. I think that they've been playing the long game with this roster. I love also those bullpen ads. It's time to get old man Salvador back to the playoffs. Give me the Royals.
I love this Royals team. I think we're talking about a team offensively that might be one of the better offenses in the American League, one of the better offenses in all of baseball in Kansas City. I will see your beautiful ass on July 18th. Ironically, over a stretch here, and we talk about stadium promotions all the time. I'm going into Kansas City a couple of days early on purpose because right out of the All-Star break, Kansas City hosts the Padres, and then of course they host the Giants. You've got Bobby Witt bobblehead, Bobby Witt bobblehead, Bobby Witt bobblehead, no bobblehead, and a Michael big time bat flip bobblehead. Meaning I'm going into Kansas City earlier than I thought. I can't wait to freaking be there. I can't wait to see that stadium, especially since it might not be there for very much longer, even though we don't know where the new one's going yet. But yeah, call me freaking good. I can't wait to be there. And this offense for the Royals has got me very excited to watch a team I was already excited to watch. I can't wait to see them. The hype train's on the Tigers. The hype train's going to be behind the Guardians, as it usually is. I'm all over this Kansas City team in every way possible this year. Let's go to the East. I'll get rid of that. This is a division that I think you could literally flip a coin a million times, throw a million darts at a board, and get the right answer most of the times, with the exception of Tampa Bay. So let's go into newcomers in the AL East. I'll start again in the middle with Mac. Newcomer to the AL East that you think makes the biggest difference for his particular team.
I think it's Dustin Pedroia Part 2, and that's Caleb Durbin for the Boston Red Sox. I love this guy already. I like what he brings to this team. He's going to solidify that third base spot. It's going to open up, allow Marcel Meyer to play second. He's, the Red Sox have had these dirt dogs. Trot Nixon was the originator of the dirt dogs. Dustin Pedroia, a dirt dog. Caleb Durbin's going to fit that mold. The fans in Boston are gonna love him. But boy, Jerry Remy would absolutely love this guy. He's gonna make a big difference in that Red Sox lineup. He really stretches that lineup out. He gets on base. He's fast. He's a perfect fit for Alex Cora and the Red Sox.
See, how far has this show come that Mac is now positive on the Boston Red Sox?
Walk Nixon, more like it.
That's
Give me your newcomer to the East, T.
Dylan Cease of the Blue Jays. You went out to get that guy to get basically you needed a guy to get one more out to win the World Series. You needed a guy to get one more. That's going to be an expensive out. But Dylan Cease, we're waiting for this guy to have a fantastic breakout year. Didn't happen in San Diego. Hopefully, with the return to the American League and for the Blue Jays' sake, it can happen now.
My guy, I think, is going to make the biggest difference in the East. It'd be very easy for me to point to show favorite and our guy, the polar bear here. I'm going to his team, but a different guy, and I think it's Shane Baz. And we talked about the Orioles and their lack of a rotation over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of shuffling there. There's been a lot of late shuffling there. But now when I look at this rotation for the Orioles, and you've got Bassett and Baz and Rogers, Bradish, Eflin, Kramer, you can go up and down this list. This is a team that like 3 months ago didn't have a very great rotation, and now they do. And I think there's a lot of people that haven't watched him play and pitch enough. This guy is an innings eater who has really, really good stuff, and I think he's a perfect fit for Baltimore. I love this Orioles team this year, but maybe I don't love them enough, or do I, to win the East? We'll start with Mac. Who do you think's going to win the East, Vegas, Mac?
Without a doubt, no question, it's the Boston Red Sox. They have a really good, solid starting pitching staff. They've got something that a lot of teams don't have, and they've got depth. They got youth. Peyton Tolley was even sent down to start in Pawtucket. They have the depth in the starting rotation with some of the acquisitions. Yeah, some of the pitchers they just picked up over the last couple of weeks. Whatever I'm trying to say. Their bullpen is good. You still got Chapman at the end of that bullpen. Yeah, absolutely. And listen, they have the best outfield in baseball, and it's not even close. Roman Anthony, Jarren Duran, Wilyer Abreu. Best outfield in baseball. And this is a Red Sox team that they're not going to hit a ton of home runs. They're going to probably have 5 or 6 guys in that 18 to 20 range, but they can steal bases. They can do things on the base path. They have guys that are quarter guys that can play multiple positions. We still don't have a full season out of Roman Anthony. Oh yeah, that's right. And we still don't have a season out of Marcel Meyer, who are two of the top prospects in baseball. This is a team that last year made it to the playoffs, had no success in the playoffs, and this year will not only make the playoffs, but will have success in October.
Go ahead, T.
They were ready to run Jaron Duran out on a rail last year, a straight up rail.
No,
And now
listen,
he's part of the best outfield in baseball. Okay.
that's not Alex Cora making those decisions. That's, just saying.
That's Mr. Senile. I won't actually physically face the media making those decisions.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Name me a better outfield in baseball. Seriously.
Oh, they're a very good outfield. Very good outfield. It's funny how quickly things change in an off season. When you add a guy like Roman Anthony, and now Jaron Duran is all of a sudden. I mean, like, for selfish reasons, I hope he's great, but it's just funny how in July we were ready to send him off to somewhere, and now he's going to anchor him and Anthony are anchoring the best outfield.
But my thing is, I'm all right with that because, listen, it's that whole thing. If they were going to make that trade, the reason they were going to make that trade is because they had a surplus of outfielders, which they do. But they wanted to make that trade to get an arm. And they've got enough arms now, and so they don't need to trade him. So I mean, did I want him to get traded? No, I really like him. But listen, I'm not against it if it was going to help your team get better. And now by going out and getting Ranger Suarez plus with Early as a youngster, I mean, again, I'd love this team.
T, why don't you give me your AL East winner here?
Same as last year. I got the Jays again. I don't see how I don't, even with the loss of Bichette, I don't think they got worse because I thought their pitching got better. If Cease has the year that everybody's waiting for and the offense doesn't take a huge step backwards, and I talked about it last season when they brought up Addison Barger, that team seemed to hit a different level at that time when he came up. And then somehow Andres Jimenez started hitting home runs. Like, that was going to happen. So as long as this team doesn't take a big step backwards on offense, I think this is going to be a magical season in the six.
I don't disagree with either one of you, but I do as far as making my pick, and that's Baltimore. I don't think we can put into proper words what Baltimore is going to mean to Pete Alonso and what Pete Alonso is going to mean to Baltimore. But it doesn't just stop there with the O's. They've revamped the pitching staff. Yes, there are some question marks there. But when I'm looking at this team, I'm also looking at, Taylor Ward, Andrew Kittredge, Ryan Helsley. Like, they've made the moves. They've got guys that I think are going to be trade pieces that don't really fit the mix. We know that Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman didn't have great years last year. I think Pete Alonso's presence, I think Pete Alonso being out of New York and what he's going to do for that team absolutely propels this team back to where they were last year. So if you've been following along, as far as the divisions go, I have Seattle, Kansas City, Baltimore. Mac has Sacramento, Detroit, and Boston. TJ has Texas, Kansas City, and Toronto. Let's go wild cards around the room before we get into some award winners here, guys. I will start with mine very quickly. I do have both of your AL East teams in that mix in Boston and Toronto. I also have Detroit as the last wild card and the last team I think that gets into the playoffs. I'll have some more on that later. Matt, give me your wild cards in the American League.
I have the Mariners, the New York Yankees, and the Texas Rangers.
T.
I've got the Yankees, Tigers, and Mariners.
Interesting. Only one of us has the Yankees making the postseason. That would be TJ. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, no, I have the Yankees.
Yeah. TJ just gave me it. Oh, yeah, you do. Sorry. You went NYY. He wrote out Yankees. I missed it. I'm the only one that doesn't have the Yankees in the playoffs. I played this game with them last year. I don't know how much I love this Yankee team because I don't know how much they're better. And that's something we've talked about. I mean, obviously, when you've got Aaron Judge, you're going to go a long way. I just don't know how much better they actually are. So let's get into MVP and Cy Young before we pick our AL winner here. Obviously, those of you that have been following us, I'm going with Para Royals. I've got Bobby Witt Jr. to win AL MVP. and Cole Reagans to win AL Cy Young. Obviously, with Reagans, it's can he stay healthy? If he stays healthy, I don't think there's a single person out there that can argue me that he's not a top 5 pitcher in the American League if he is healthy, which is a big question there. Mac, I'll let you go, and then T here. MVP, then Cy Young. What do you got?
I think our show's come a long way. The fact that this year we didn't all pick the same guy, which
that was some bullshit last year. And it worked out horribly for all 3 of us.
I know. My MVP is going to be down in Tampa, back in the Dome. I love Junior Caminero. I just think he's a great young hitter. I think he's going to have a great year down in Tampa, back under the Dome. And the only problem that I have with my Cy Young pick is I just don't know. I know wins aren't sexy anymore. I think he's going to have good numbers. He's got a new contract. I think he's going to be happy, and that's going to be for the Minnesota Twins, Joe Ryan.
Interesting. I would have expected with the knob job given to one team in the Northeast that Roman Anthony, the Roman Empire, would have been part of your MVP thing there. I'm impressed with you.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think even though, I mean, obviously he's eligible for that. I think they're going to take it kind of easy with him still. Especially, and they've had a tendency to do that with their young guys. And so I don't know that he's going to have. I mean, he may have monster numbers, but I just don't think he's going to have monster numbers. I think he's going to have very, very good numbers, but I think they are going to limit his play a little bit.
Okay. All right, T, what do you got? MVP and Cy Young.
My MVP is Junior Impaler, Vlad Guerrero. I think I think when he signed the contract last year, I think that weighed on him. He didn't get off to a great start. This is his team now, though. The Jays have made the decision. It's his team. So I'm looking for big things out of him. And my Cy Young, although I think the Tigers are paying Framber to lead the franchise, lead the pitching staff, I'm going with Scooby again for the Cy Young.
I'm going to get to Scooby here in the latter portion of the program. All right, so that leaves us with one thing left in the American League. Somebody's got to take the pennant in the American League. And who knows, we're about to get to National League picks. Maybe this is the sacrificial lamb for the Dodgers. Maybe it's not. T, I'll go right back to you here. Why don't you start us off, T, then Mac, and then I'll finish it up. Who wins the American League pennant and why?
It's the team that I think is the best team in the American League, and I don't think that they I think they have some unfinished business, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays.
Vegas Mac, who is your American League winner?
Great pitching staff, best outfield in baseball, one of the best managers in baseball. That American League championship is going to be shipping up to Boston.
I see what you did there. Little drop kick Murphy's reference,
That's
which is
right.
never not okay on this show. Not only do I think this team would be embarrassing for them not to win their division, I think with the plethora and depth of their farm system and a couple of these guys you are going to see this year, I am all in 1,000% on the momentum for this region's sports scene right now. And I've got the Seattle Mariners to win the AL pennant and head to the World Series. That switches us to the senior circuit, the National League, which there really is no difference anymore because for some dumbass reason we had to bring the DH in. That's a different story for a different day. Let's start out west, young man. Give me a newcomer to the National League West that you think makes the biggest difference and why. We'll just keep it traditional here. Mac, then T, and then I'll follow.
I think not that they're going to be, making a run for the pennant, but I think in Colorado, Charlie Condon is going to make a difference on that team. They're starting to assemble some good young talent in Colorado. Again, this guy's a really, really good hitter. He's shown it, even with a little bit of struggles early on, but Charlie Condon, he's eventually going to get to this Colorado team this year, and I think he's going to make a pretty big difference.
T, newcomer out west. Who and why?
Edwin Diaz. So the one thing that we've always talked about in the playoffs with the Dodgers is the bullpen. The bullpen has just been just bullpen by committee. It hasn't been that. It's been the question mark. Like if they lose, we know it's probably because of the bullpen. Now you got a bona fide closer in there, stability to the bullpen, and it's only going to make this team better.
I do agree with you. And I agree with the both of you. Sorry, Mac, I didn't tell you I agreed with you because I don't really feel like I need to. But Charlie Condon, if he can stay healthy, and I am a little bullish on that Rockies team. They're still going to suck ass because that's what happens when you have shitty ownership. But I do like the group that they're putting together. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say one of the names that I love on that team because I'm trying to keep them in the bag for some fantasy draft purposes. But if Condon can keep himself healthy in that ballpark, you would think 2-2 put themselves together. My newcomer in the West that I think makes the most sizable difference is not actually a guy you're going to see on the field other than for some minimal appearances here and there, and it's Tony Vitello. And the Giants have needed a kick in the dick, for lack of a far more eloquent term, for a long time since Bruce Bochy left. And the one thing that I think they've missed the most is a manager full of, quote, piss and vinegar or whatever analogy you want to make. I think I've heard it and I've seen it already. I don't think this team, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think this team is a playoff team. But I think it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to go play the Giants night in and night out because of the mentality and the approach that they take. And I think that Vitello's impact makes the Giants a team for some of these teams down the stretch that are trying to lock into playoff positioning. And I think the Giants will be close. But I think just his mentality being there makes that team a hell of a lot harder to play in a very hard ballpark to play in and against. I'm really digging what I'm seeing. Maybe ownership will let Buster Posey go buy some pitchers next year, but that's a different story for a different day. Let's get into who wins the division here. And I'm going down a road that I'm sure you guys got a good chuckle out of, but I have scientific reasoning behind it. And you guys have the same team, so I'll start with Mac and then let T explain it. Who wins the NL West? Big, huge question here. What do you got and why, Mac?
I mean, it's pretty hard to not pick the Dodgers. They're still the best team. The best thing going in San Diego is the two guys in the booth. That's the best thing they have going for them. I don't trust. I still have no trust in that San Diego team. I do like the Diamondbacks. I do think the Diamondbacks could have a special season, but I think just overall LA is just too much.
Teota.
Dodgers by 15 minimum. They are just like Mike said, they're the best team. They are just flat out the best team. They're going to cruise through the season. They're probably going to win 100 games. There's going to be times where everybody's going, it looks like the Dodgers aren't very good this year, and they're just saving it for October. So, Dodgers.
Au contraire, Monfrere, since that was just brought up there. The Dodgers don't win the West. If you saw our newsletter this morning, I love the Dodgers under their win total of 103.5 because last year they didn't get close to that, and they were legit mediocre on the road. And I do agree with you guys. And Mac, this is something you've brought up plenty of times. We talk about these teams playing with their food, uninterested in the regular season. The Dodgers would be probably the poster child for that. But despite grabbing Kyle Tucker and what I think might be damaged goods in the bullpen for Edwin Diaz, Timmy Trumpets isn't as exciting anymore. This Dodger team didn't get any younger, guys. They're already dealing with pitching injuries, which is nothing new for the Dodgers here. And I'm going to go get in bed with somebody that I hate getting in bed with at this time of the year, but it's the San Diego Padres. And here's why. Because I believe that this bullpen is freaking ridiculously good, especially with who's on the backside of that bullpen that was literally handed to them for nothing. And you can go, well, no, that's not true. The Padres gave up their number one prospect. I wouldn't know who the Padres' number one prospect is because I can't remember the last time I saw the Padres' number one prospect actually play with the Padres. I think this team gets sold, And I think new ownership comes in and actually puts a life into this team, because this team is in the you either get this done or you don't get it done, and all you guys are leaving here. I think the Padres, with a new influx of ownership, actually take down the Dodgers this year, because the Dodgers haven't gotten any younger. And I'm not going to be like every dope. I'm not talking about you guys. You know I love you. But I'm not going to talk like the Dodgers aren't inevitable. I don't believe that, because they haven't gotten any younger. You want to talk about the best outfield in baseball, Mac? It might be in San Diego. I think the Dodgers take down the Padres this year. Or the Padres take down the Dodgers this year. And no, it's not because I was born to dislike the Dodgers. We've seen this in baseball more times than ever. All the Dodgers have to do is get into the postseason. They don't give a shit what seed they are or anything. They're built for the postseason. We're already dealing with pitching injuries. Or what are we going to do? Drag in Clayton Kershaw later to just drag him back out there because he's Clayton Kershaw? I think the Padres get sold and get an influx of effort. And yes, they do have the best booth in baseball. I'm not going to argue there, Mac. Let's go to the Central in the National League, which is always a fun division, because every time you think you've pegged the Central right, somebody else comes in and just goes, yeah, we're here this year. Give me a newcomer in the Central, Mac than T, that makes a difference, significant difference to their team.
Well, we're
and I got no comments from either one of you about the Padres beating the Dodgers. You two that would normally all be all over that. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's the Padres. Best booth, best weather, good food, but not going to do it on the diamond. It's just the way it is.
Whatever. Right. Go to your Central impact maker.
We don't know about the Reds. The Reds are a big question mark in this Central. But I think if the Reds are going to make a run, I think it's because of one guy, and it's because of Chase Burns. I think he can be the reason that the Reds make the playoffs.
I don't hate it. T, what do you got?
I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit with Gino Suarez. The Reds are trying to get better. I think they are better. I think this move makes them better. But which are you going to get the Gino that was in the contract year with the Diamondbacks for the first half of the season? Which Gino are you going to get?
I think that's a very good question. And I think the Reds are the biggest wild card in that division, because we don't know. We know the guy on the bench is going to make them better than they probably should be. But I think the Reds are the biggest wild card. For me, my impact guy, I've mentioned him a couple of times. I think this is a team that makes a run at a playoff spot, assuming that they actually keep this guy here. But it's Brandon Lau of the Pirates, because I love what the Pirates have done. I hated it because they basically just shipped out Kutch, and congrats, Kutch made the Rangers opening day roster. Love that. But I think what the Pirates have done from an offensive standpoint is really exciting to me. And you can think I'm crazy. I just picked the Padres to beat the Dodgers in the NL West. That's fine. I also think this Pirates team is really good, and Brandon Lau is going to be a guy who's going to have one hell of a first year in Pittsburgh, and I can't wait to see how it pans itself out. Now, and we do have a FOP chiming in on the exact order of this division, which I'll show here in a second, but I'll start with Mac. Who wins the division and why? And do they win it easily?
I think it's Chicago. I think it's the Cubs. And my thinking is this. I think Pittsburgh is going to be better. I think Pittsburgh is going to make a difference in this division. I think Milwaukee takes a little step back. I still think they're going to be up there. But for me, the Cubs have too many questions. Too many answers to be able to get there. Their offense is going to be good. I think the addition to Alex Bregman is going to be a big thing for them. I think that's going to more than take care of anything they've lost in free agency. And I like their pitching staff. I think this is the year the Cubs make a nice little run.
Speaking of this division, Pete Crow Armstrong, 6-year contract, $115 million. Nick Lodolo, a huge part of that Reds lineup and rotation, if you will. He's going to start the year on the IL. T, who do you got to win the Central and why?
The Cubs, for the same exact reason. I think they're the best team. And I'll save PCA, put in my back pocket for later.
I like where you're going there. I'm also going to go with the Cubs. I thought last year they were good enough to get it done. That didn't pan out. We know the Brewers had a ridiculous year. I think the Brewers come way down to earth this year. I know a couple Brewers are going to pop their names up here shortly. Speaking of shortly, also hilarious to see how Alex Bregman and multiple other players have shrunk in the offseason because of the new ABS system, if you haven't seen any of that nonsense yet. But to me, I think Matt Boyd is a guy that pushes for Cy Young with this Cubs team. We know that's not an easy ballpark to pitch in. I think this Cubs team is just, when I compare them to every other team in the league, I think this Cubs team is just head and shoulders above every other team in this division, without a doubt to me. Let's go to the NL East, which you want to talk about. And I don't know, oh, actually, here, I wanted to throw this out. You got Roz checking in, and we love these. If you've got your predictions for these divisions, throw them out. We'll put them up there. I definitely disagree with the first. I don't necessarily disagree with the second. Obviously, I would flip-flop first and third. I would almost flip-flop first and... I don't know. What do you think, guys? What do you think?
Here's the thing. I really think it's how the Reds and the Pirates play. I think it's one of those things. I think they're kind of the key. This has been kind of a dog division where, you can get, like, Milwaukee can kind of go, or Chicago can kind of go, and you're playing, X number of games against the Reds or against, Cincinnati, and you're not getting a lot of pushback. I think you're going to start to get some pushback from these teams, and I think that's going to make it interesting.
Here, I'll put it back up.
Yeah,
so you can see it.
I'm not sold on the Brewers this year. I'd probably switch the Brewers and the Cubs, and then I'd probably switch the Pirates and the Reds. But I think last year I picked Chicago to win the division going away, and Milwaukee just went on a run. So, let's see what happens.
All right, the NL East, which to me I think is the biggest crapshoot division of all crapshoot divisions out there. So let's start with some newcomers here, guys. I'll actually start with this one. We'll go me, then Mac, then TJ here. My newcomer to this division that I think without a doubt, and I've got a good comp for this too. And a lot of people tell me every year I shouldn't be on this position. I shouldn't fall in love with this team. Blah blah blah. You know what? It's my damn show. I'll put my name on it, and I'll own this one. It's Adolis Garcia in Philadelphia, and I will give you the comp of Teo Hernandez when he signed with the Dodgers. Adolis Garcia went through a really rough year last year, unceremoniously, or maybe ceremoniously, however you want to deem it. He's now in Philadelphia, and this Phillies team is not done making moves. That's the other thing here, because I think Adolis Garcia in Philadelphia becomes a cult hero. And again, I can liken it to what Teo did. And T, you brought this up way before the fact. Teo bet on himself, and he took a low deal to go prove it again. And I think him on this lineup with this team, and the makeup of this team, and the pressure on Topper, the pressure on Dombrowski, the comments about Bryce Harper, I think this team is a powder keg. And that could be a great thing. It could be a really bad thing too, but I think this team is getting ready to explode, and I think Adolis Garcia has the biggest impact of any player in the East. Mac, who do you got in the East that makes a sizable impact?
For me, it's Rez from the I was going to say the Florida Marlins. Oh my gosh, from Miami. Yeah, exactly. He's got number one stuff. This is a guy who, again, with the staff that they still have there and the good young players, remember, they made a nice little run about the three-quarter mark of the year last year. They were starting to kind of make a move towards the playoffs. Again, not saying that they're quite there, but this is a team that is definitely, we need to watch in that wild East.
It is definitely a wild East. What do you got, Mac, or T, sorry? Who's your impact player in the East?
My impact player is going to be Freddie Peralta with the Mets. 40 wins over the last 3 seasons. He's going in there. This is a team that completely changed its DNA over last year, like completely changed. and I kind of dug what they did. So I'm going with Freddie Peralta.
Freddie Peralta. What an opening day matchup. Freddie P and Paul Skeens. We're going to get into a little bit more of that tomorrow. Mac and I will. But all right, last division. Put it on the table, boys. Who do you got winning the division? Mac, T, and then I'll go last.
Because I think we almost don't know. I mean, I can give you positives and negatives for, a lot of these teams, even early on. But this team has been kind of quiet. And for whatever reason, I watched them a lot this spring. And they're not really being mentioned. Mets are being mentioned. Phillies being mentioned. But for me, I think this is a year, believe it or not, knock on wood, if they can stay healthy, I think the Atlanta Braves win this division.
I don't hate it, but that's a huge if they can stay healthy.
That's the thing, right? Is can they stay healthy since 21? They just seem like they haven't been able to stay healthy at all.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, go ahead and give me yours to win the division here, and we'll circle back to the Braves here. I want to just make sure on this one.
I'm taking the Amazons. I'm taking the Mets. I'm buying in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm on the train to Citi Field, and I am going to watch the blue and orange. And you know what I really want to see, though? I really want to see Mr. Met flip somebody off again. That's what I really want to see. But I'm taking the Mets.
You got Roz in the comment section. Yes, you were on the same wavelength with me. Spencer Strider starting with an oblique issue for the Braves, so not a good start for them, obviously. But I do think, Mac, I do agree with you there that Atlanta is the biggest wild card because they aren't being talked about. And they've already got several injuries, and they've got one dumbass who's not going to be with them, and they've already taken some body blows to start the year. For me, I don't think this is shocking based on what I just said, but to me, it's Philadelphia, and it has to be Philadelphia because for Topper and for Dave Dombrowski and Bryce Harper, I think this is a massive year for the Phillies. And as much as it's funny, guys, since we started doing the show, and we've done the show for a couple years, but we've been posting videos for longer than that. And it seems like every year, like clockwork, June, July, when we go, hey, what are we going to talk about this week video-wise? It's like, hey, the Phillies are on another one of their runs here in the summertime. Like, it has to be this year, or I think you're going to see monumental changes in Philadelphia. And I still think you're going to see changes throughout the year with the Phillies. So to recap here, I have San Diego, Chicago, and Philadelphia as my division winners. Mac has the Dodgers, the Cubs, and the Braves. TJ has the Dodgers, the Cubs, and the Mets. Wild cards will go right to left on the screen here. T, give me your 3 wild cards.
I've got from lowest to highest. I've got Atlanta, Arizona, and the Phillies because they're so fucking exhausting right now. Like, just listen here, the Buffalo Bills of baseball.
Whoa.
Get it together or get the hell out of here. This team, I'm done with the Phillies. I'm done. Done with the Phillies. Do it this year or quit doing it.
The Buffalo Bills of I haven't heard anybody say that, and you know what? I don't hate it because it's, we've talked about it with the Bills. Like, this team, and to use one of your lines, this team needed to get to the Super Bowl yesterday. That's a great analogy. I would say take the rest of the show off here, but we got a couple more things to do. That's a hell of an analogy, though, Mac, don't you think?
It's really good. No, I like it. Exactly.
Give me your wild cards.
I like the New York Mets as one of the wild card. I like a team coming out of the National League West, the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think they're going to surprise some people. And I'm going with the Buffalo Bills in the 3rd spot.
You guys are drinking the purple stank on the I don't know why people think this Diamondbacks team is going to be good this year. This might be top to bottom collection wise, from starters to relievers, the worst damn pitching staff I've seen assembled in a long time. Like,
that's why
this, huh?
That's why I think they're going to win.
This bullpen, I don't understand what the hell the problem is in assembling a bullpen with the Diamondbacks, but I was diving into them a little bit more today because they're the hot name. And granted, their offense is good enough to carry them through a lot. This pitching staff is terrible. And relying on a lot of we hope you can be good. Speaking of guys starting the year on injured lists, Merrill Kelly on an already depleted starting rotation. Like this Diamondbacks pitching staff is absolutely dreadful this year. My wild cards, because I have to, the Dodgers. I'm not going to be an idiot and say the Dodgers are going to miss the playoffs. I just have concerns. This team is older. They've played a lot of extra games. Kyle Tucker, cool. He might look better with the Dodgers than he did with the Cubs. He probably does. But they're a wild card for me. The Mets, I think, are a wild card for me for sure. And my third wild card is the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm gonna slap it down where I'm backing right here. I think that lineup is good enough in a division that is wide open. And when I look at the second and third place teams in every division, I think the Pirates can hang in that conversation. I've already put out my award winners: Bryce Harper, MVP; Logan Webb of the Giants is Cy Young. Let's go, Mac, then TJ here. Give me your MVP first and some reasoning or whatever, Mac, and then your Cy Young.
Well, if I'm going to pick the Atlanta Braves to win the American League East, they got to have an MVP. I got Ronald Acuna Jr. as an MVP for them. So that's kind of what my thought is on that. They're going to need somebody to step up. That's a pretty good guy to step up. My Cy Young, listen, I love this team last year. I'm not 100% sold on him, but what I am sold on him is this, because this guy is awesome. I'm going with the Miz as Cy Young winner.
We're not at bold predictions yet. I think the Miz might actually lead the Brewers in saves. If you want to go bold there, I don't hate it. I like the group. I'm big Ronnie. I'll talk about Ronnie all day long because
all day.
He's locked on my fantasy team. He ain't going anywhere. that dude, after coming in late last year, could have been the MVP with what he had if he would have had a full season. T, give me an MVP and a Cy in the National League.
My Cy Young winner is off of the team that you picked to win the division, Mike. I'm going with Nick Pivetta.
Nicky P.
And I thought he came out of nowhere last year to have a fantastic season. And if your team is going to dethrone the Dodgers, he's going to have to win. Probably going to have to win 20. So I'm going with Nick Pivetta. And for MVP, this guy right here, PCA, MVP, PCA.
The Cubs are going to do what we think they're going to do. It's not the wrong pick. I mean, I think that. Let me ask you guys this before we get to our bold predictions and our World Series predictions here. National League or American League? And you guys are both American League guys, so you might side on one side of the fence, but I don't think you will in this case. Give me a case. Which league is more compelling, Mac than T here? American League, is it more of a toss-up, or is the National League more of a toss-up this year? What do you think? Spot on, off the rundown here. Here we go.
Yeah, I think the American League is a little more up in the air because I just started in the East. I think any one of those teams could really win the East. I just think they're that deep. And then I look in the Central. I just think they have more teams that are ready. I think the National League is getting there. And what I mean by that is, Pittsburgh's not quite there. Cincinnati's not quite there. I don't think Milwaukee's quite there. There's a lot of teams that are just like on that second level that I just don't think are ready to win a championship. We're in the American League. I think, you take, I said, everybody in the East, you throw in Detroit. I think you throw in, a Seattle team. I just think there's more teams ready to win in the American League.
Hey, what do you think?
I think it's the American League. I think the National League, as much as the Dodgers have deficiencies, and yes, they got older, it's in the National League, it's still a battle for second place.
I think that's a fair assessment. All right, let's go. National League champions here before we get to World Series. I think mine have already basically let the cat out of the bag. No, it's not the Padres, even though I think an ownership sale launches them up. It's the Phillies, because it has to be the Phillies. It literally, there is not a team that there's more pressure on to me in baseball this year than Philadelphia. I love the Buffalo Bills of baseball. I think is the best way I've heard a descriptor of the Phillies. Mac, give me your National League champion, and then we'll go to World Series picks after TJ's National League champ.
I think my pick kind of explains kind of the answer to your question, Mike. I'm not really sold on any of those teams in the National League. And so to me, as I was looking at this, I think a team that could kind of sneak in and kind of take the pennant would be the New York Mets.
See? Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. That's the Dodgers again. They're the best team. They're built for October. They say it on their stupid sweatshirts. So, yeah, go have fun with a $60 Dodger dog and $90 parking to watch that playoff game.
All right, so according to T, he's got a rematch of last year's World Series. According to Mac, he's got a Northeast World Series with Boston and the Mets. And I've got a Coastal Series, if you will, Philadelphia and Seattle. You know what? I'm going to let Max start on this one. Your World Series of the Red Sox Mets, which would be fun and flashbacky. How do you think that goes?
Yeah, I mean, we all, well, some of us remember that World Series. I don't remember exactly what happened. But listen, I think it's going to be the Boston Red Sox. And here's my reasoning. This is not a team that's going to count on one player. This is a team in every sense of the imagination. They don't have an Aaron Judge. They don't have a Tariq Skubal. They have a bunch of players that, again, as I said it, they were there last year. They got a taste of it. A lot of these guys, I mean, and just maybe I'm out of the way on this. They had a great WBC. They played major roles. Abreu, Duran, Whitlock, Anthony. These guys had, I mean, Nate Eaton, to name another one. They had a great WBC. They did it at the highest level. I think Alex Cora has put together a perfect team. I think the Red Sox win it this year.
The fact that Vegas Mac actually backed his own team on this show for the first time, I am flabbergasted. T, I hate that you have to follow that, but go for it.
Whitlock did a great job until he gacked up the winning run in the game against Venezuela. I'm taking the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they're the best team. I think they had the Dodgers right where they wanted them. And so I'm going with the Jays.
Hey, the dogs are barking for the Jays to win the World Series. I think Philadelphia, Seattle, as I mentioned, I think it has to. I think both of these teams are you have to at this point. Seattle, close, obviously. If you talk to any Mariners fan, they're going to tell you close so many times and never getting it done. I think this is the year. Not only do we get the Sonics back, we have the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. Seattle punches through against Philadelphia, and I think we get an all-time classic World Series. And I think we ring the bell in Philadelphia, and not elite Bryce Harper spearheads the Phillies to a World Series victory. So that leaves us with a couple things to clean up here on the backside of the show. One last thing I wanted to do as far as baseball goes. Let's go about 20 seconds each here. Let's go bold predictions. You have one bold prediction that obviously, because we do the show, we get to reset halfway through the season because that's what we do. But let's go one bold prediction from everybody for this upcoming baseball season. Mac, then T, then myself to finish. Mac, give me a bold prediction for this upcoming baseball season.
This one is going to knock your socks off. Paul Skeens, great pitcher. We all know that. But Paul Skeens is not going to be the best pitcher on the Pittsburgh Pirates staff this year.
If I was wearing socks, they'd be off.
My socks are off, Mac. They're off.
Are you going Bubba Chandler?
I wish not to tell you.
Oh,
Jesus. You have to wait and see.
He's hiding shit. TJ, bold prediction for MLB this year.
My bold prediction, it's a guy that last season and the season before made us lots of money on Friday nights. He is the man. He had a breakout season last year, and he is going to lead the American League in home runs this year. My guy, number 7 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts, Friday Night Joe Show, Joe Adele.
I don't hate that ever. You got Ross, actually. do you care to comment, Mackenzie?
Still not the right one. Nope. I've got another one.
All right, my bold prediction for baseball this year, and we have this guy we've talked about a lot, an Arizona guy. Tarek Skubal goes to the postseason this year, but he goes to the postseason with the Mets and their new manager, because I think Carlos Mendoza is the first manager that gets shit canned this year. Because that team, talk about teams that need to win now, talk about teams that have made moves. I think Tarek Skubal finishes the year as a Met, and they go to the postseason together with a new manager. They are bold predictions for a reason. But a couple of things to clean up here. And I mentioned this earlier, and this actually pertains to both of you, Mr. Poutine himself on the far right side of the screen, and Mr. Red Sox himself in the middle. The Red Sox, I love this time of year because you find out all the cool new things that they're serving at ballparks. The Red Sox will be serving lobster. I didn't say lobster. Lobster poutine at Fenway Park this year. Crispy fries, lobster meat, clam chowder, and crispy bacon, all served in a custom lobster boat. Teeth and Mac, are you on that at Fenway? Are you going to try the lobster poutine?
Only if I can get a youngling with it.
Ooh, good call. Mac, would you be on that at Fenway?
I would not. Lobster's not meant to be mixed with anything. You got to eat it just by itself.
I think that's a fair assessment. The Diamondbacks, as I've been informed, have a 128-ounce bucket of nachos, which sounds like the plumbing at Chase Field, which we know is, they're doing all kinds of renovations there. I don't know if the plumbing at Chase Field is ready for 128 ounces of nachos. Here's my last thing for you. I told you guys we were going to have a thinking exercise tonight, courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbooks. On DraftKings Sportsbook, not a sponsor of the show, should be, on Instagram here. What's the most frustrating thing in sports? Because I just went through it myself throughout the first couple of rounds in the NCAA tournament. Make your effing free throws. Off of that list, what is the one thing there, guys, that frustrates you the most as a sports fan? False start on third down. I'm sure you guys can read that.
Do we have to pick one on here? Because I have one that always frustrates me.
You can absolutely add one to this.
I hate this. It's when your team has 25 shots on goal, yet you're losing 1-0. You're out shooting them 25-5, and you're losing 1-0. That is frustrating as hell. It's the stupidest stat in the world. We're out shooting them, but shit, we're losing the game 1-0.
I've been on the wrong side of that as a Sharks fan a couple of times here, mainly when Buffalo just kept putting pucks in the net like it was a bodily function. T, any of those, or do you have one to add?
No, I think it's jumping offside on third or fourth down, especially less than 5. It just aggravates.
Yeah, that one is annoying as all hell. All right, any final words on this baseball eve, T and Mac, and then we'll get up on out of here.
Let's get it on. Let's get started.
I have a couple of things for you. Just came across. I have a name for you for the Tar Heels. You ready?
Another one? What are you, part of the search firm?
I am, but listen, you're gonna go, ooh, ready? Brad Stevens.
I said that earlier, and no, there's no way in hell. No.
All right, that's no.
Why would you leave the cush job you have to go take over North Carolina?
I have some bad news. Our family is coming to an end this weekend. My son and I are going to battle. Thursday night in Worcester, Massachusetts, at the first game of the regional semifinals. It's number 1 Michigan State versus number 4 UConn. in the hockey regional semifinals. The next night, it is Michigan State versus UConn in the regional semifinal. I don't know how I feel about this. We talked about it a little bit last night. Talk about, at odds. We are Sparty versus Jonathan. Literally Jonathan going at it this weekend. So things may be different come next week.
Mac will have a son up for adoption. And it'll start in Worcester, Bobby. T will be back with me on Thursday. The coin will be back out for our Friday Sweet 16 games. Mac and I tomorrow into the NBA. Oh, the coin's already ready to go. NBA tomorrow and the Thursday Sweet 16 games, as well as setting your table for the opening day of baseball. We appreciate all of you. A lot of good comments tonight. Tell your friends, tag your friends, follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. You know the drill. Tomorrow night, with actual baseball going on. We'll talk with you then. We're out.